Tonight on the show, we have a very special Killer Instinct extravaganza. I'm joined by none other than Donka and Brandon. Say hi, guys. You're watching Best of 3.
Awesome. Intense.
You're waiting on me? You're going to have to talk to me, bro, because I don't have a return. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome back to another excellent adventure here on the Best of 3 show. Having a rough start because these gentlemen here are hitting the buttons too hard. Can't even think straight. But you're watching Best of 3, the weekly FGC talk show brought to you by The Daily Dot, and we're very excited because today on the show, not only is it a Killer Instinct special, but we're joined by Brandon Odin's son, Alexander.
Hey guys, how's it going?
How is it going? Here. Now, as we usually do on our show, we go through a couple of news items. This is going to be the Killer Instinct special, but first, we're going to go through a couple of items because we can't not talk about, for example, what happened at ESL this weekend. And joining us, as they always do, to talk about these specific things are Steven Jurek, Ace King Offsuit, and John Velociraptor Guerrero. Welcome, guys.
Well, hello.
Hey, the other things we're going to talk about, of course, before we get into the Killer Instinct goodness is, of course, Mortal Kombat X. We can't forget about the fact that in a couple hours after our show, there's going to be the EVO lineup that everybody has been clamoring for, and there's some interesting stuff going on around with that. And, of course, to kick us off, first we're going to go to my good friend Donka to talk about Frosty Faustings. What went down at Frosty Faustings?
Well, Frosty Faustings is a tournament that I believe was started by Mike Elvinshadow. He would come home from Japan every year and, hold a tournament. Guilty Gear was kind of the main focus because that was the team he played. But it's evolved into more than that, and now it happens in January as opposed to December. This year, you had a lot. I think it became a much bigger tournament this year, basically. You had a lot of out-of-staters come, which didn't used to be the standard. And it was a pretty big deal. Guilty Gear this year, I think, had a pop bonus. And Kid Viper from Texas won, actually. It was kind of surprising. A lot of the people in top 8 were new school Guilty Gear players, where Xrd was originally dominated by the old, plus R scene.
Are the old guys leaving or the new guys leveling up?
I think it's definitely the latter. The new guys are definitely leveling up. A lot of the super, super old guard was there and did well. I mean, Black Snake got 3rd. Elvinshadow got 9th. But, I mean, they did not do as well as expected based on how, early Xrd turned out.
I was looking at the results, and the only thing that stood out to me was that Wolfcrumb beat Hamad in Street Fighter.
Yeah, you don't see Wolfcrumb travel too much anymore, but he'll still come around. He's from Detroit. He's from Michigan, and he still goes to things around the area, and he's still really, really good regardless of how much he gets out to. Mm-hmm. It's kind of sad. He got a bad rap in the scene. Whether that's his fault or not, I don't really know. I'm not too close to him or the side of the issue, but he's a good player, and I hope he plays Street Fighter 5.
You saying he got a bad rap ever since the whole head crones thing about him complaining about the
there was
Spooky needs to have?
There was pot splitting. There was a bunch of different stuff, and it might all be true for all I know. I'm just saying that I hope a good player will come back for Street Fighter 5 regardless.
Absolutely, and of course you were mentioning Marvel Dual Kevin.
Dual Kevin, after getting second at KIT, did actually pull it off and win this time at KIT. Really impressive. There was a couple great players there. There was Flux, there was him, there was GC Yoshi. So among a solid field, he still managed to take it out, even with that team.
With the Deadpool?
Yeah, with the Deadpool.
All right. I'm glad that you're here to tell us about Frosty Faustings, because otherwise we would have overlooked it. But, Steve, you wrote about not one but 2 articles about MKX ESL, one going into it and one coming out of it. What went down, and why is it worth talking about?
Well, obviously one of the biggest bonuses or biggest prize pools of the year in Mortal Kombat X, $100,000 was on the line. The big story coming in was Sonic Fox, this young guy, 18 years. I don't know if he's 17 or 18 yet, but he won last season's ESL. He won EVO. He's winning pretty much everything there is to win in Mortal Kombat. The question was, were there any of these challengers from Europe, which is a rising scene, any of these other Americans able to come in and dethrone him? And at certain parts, especially against Biohazard, who pushed him to the limit, it looked like he was going to fall, especially when he had to go into grand finals against Scar, who, if you remember from KIT, pushed him to the absolute limit, reset him, nearly took the entire tournament. But once again, Sonic Fox does what he does. He wins tournaments. He takes all the money, and Everyone else is just fighting for second.
So he busted out his Aaron Black to knock Scar into losers. And then when Scar makes it back to grand finals, he starts off not with Demolition Sonya, but with Kung Lao. Thoughts on that choice? That didn't work out for him. As a competitor, at what point you're like, shit, let me try this crazy pick to see if this works?
I guess it's he'd already lost to him, as you said, at KIT. He'd lost to him earlier in the same tournament. At some point, he'd probably prepared this counter pick thinking it was what would work best and gave it a shot, and it didn't work out. For me personally, I'm not much of a counter picker because I typically don't learn a second character to that level. But I think he had a plan. I think he basically just decided that at that point Sonya was not going to win for him, so he needed to try something different.
Now, we're talking to the guy who signed Scar. Have you talked to him since CSL?
Yeah. I mean, he, from the last time he texted me, he had a great time in LA. He thought it was awesome. It was a great experience. It was one of his biggest, I think, events he's ever been to, and at least for Mortal Kombat X. And I think that he's hungry for another season, obviously, and he wants to answer back, possibly going to like Combo Breaker or something like that to get his revenge at Sonic Fox. He did take the loss pretty hard, but he knows what he has to do. I think he's going to prepare for next time. So,
what I thought was interesting was what everybody was talking about was Scar and that Demolition Sonya. And I mean, you were explaining to me how the heck. We're at KT, and I was like, okay, well, show me exactly what he's doing and grabbing the electricity bombs.
Yeah, it's weird because he played the drone version of the Special Forces version of Sonya with the drone before.
Yeah.
They nerfed that. And he was the only one playing that, and then he switched to Demolition. He was pretty much the only one playing that too. And so to see a guy take this like weird variation to the top was just very interesting. And the tech he did and the neutral he showed was just, you couldn't really fault it. You couldn't call it cheap. You were just like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah,
and
was
everyone
intense.
was just so like impressed by it, including Sonic Fox, who's been, hitting up Scar and talking about how great he is on Twitter. So I mean, he just impressed everybody. And I've met him. He's a stand-up guy. So
yeah, really
good for
guy.
that. Yeah.
This guy only signs stand-up guys. That's that Ultra
Exactly.
Arcade Scar. John, did you catch any of that ESL Mortal Kombat X? I know you were really looking forward to those interstitial videos that they do where they ham it up, right?
It was great, and I got to see a whole bunch of promos for the new Batman versus Superman.
Oh, no kidding, man.
How is that not going to be bad? I mean, good. But no, it was a really exciting tournament for sure. And I was really rooting against Sonic Fox, not because I have any problem with him whatsoever. He's amazing in what he's done for the game so far and for the MKX community. But like, I'm waiting to see someone dethrone the king, man. It's like, and no one can even come close. It feels anymore. Like you were saying, sometimes people will, they'll take games off of him. They'll reset the bracket. But at the end of the day, man, it's he's the undisputed champion. And I'm the kind of guy that likes to see the title like get tossed around and such. No one dominant guy. So, but Sonic Fox, man, and it's not just MKX. He's all over the place. It seems like any game he touches, he does amazing at. And so he's the guy. He's only 17. He's the guy to watch for some time now, or for the future for some time. He's an amazing player, and there's going to be a lot of excitement coming from his area.
We had a chance to talk to him at EVO. Go back a little ways here, a couple months back, and he had just won Season 1 ESL MKX. Then he won EVO, and we're asking him, so what are you going to do now? With your winnings and all that, and he said, I'm going to play Killer Instinct. I don't know if he ever got to it, but I was surprised by that choice. We're going to talk more about Killer Instinct, of course, later on, but the idea that it doesn't have the largest community, but it has a very passionate community is something I want to talk about here going forward. Okay. The other thing that's coming up, and everybody's been chomping at the bit, and I tried my damnedest. I emailed Joey Cuellar. I emailed the Red Bull guys. I'm like, guys, what's going on with this EVO lineup? I had heard that they were going to do a special EVO show, and then we got the word today that it'll be on the official Red Bull Esports Twitch page. Let's just open it up to wild speculation, and I'll remind the audience that throughout the entirety of tonight's episode, you can call in and ask your question or give your opinion or tell us all we're idiots, all that good stuff. Tell Brandon, what kind of Vidal Sassoon conditioner he uses. How do I get my hair to look like that? I think Steve had some questions about how you get your hair like that. Which good.
Man, I need tips desperately.
You just wake up in the morning. That's what I usually do.
But the idea that the people are really, the fact that there's so much writing on it, I think adds a lot of weight to the power that EVO has. If it doesn't make it to EVO, it's obviously not a game worth playing almost. You can make that argument. why don't you start us off, Steve? I know you had shown me the poll results from RCAP of people wanting what games should be in there. Can you run some of those down? I actually have it here if you need me to reference it.
Well, yeah. I'm running a prediction game. I've done it for the last couple years. People just pick what they think the lineup is going to be. We've had nearly 200 entries, and from that, it looks like there's a few locks. Street Fighter V is on pretty much every ballot. Guilty Gear Xrd is up there. Mortal Kombat, and both Smashes. 90% believe that both Smashes will make the lineup.
Now, of course, this is speculation, right? Like, this is not based on anything, but go ahead.
Yeah, this is not anything beyond just what people are picking. Beyond that, it gets a little dicey, you know. Talk, is Marvel going to come back? Is Ultra Street Fighter 4 going to come back for another year? Killer
Yes.
Yes. Why do you say yes, John? We'll come back to the list,
Well,
but
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you know, like Street Fighter 4, it still has so much steam. Like, yes, I hear the arguments that it's slowing down, and when a new game comes in, traditionally that kind of kicks the old one to the curb. But so many people are so invested in it. I don't think it'll be around forever, but 5 hasn't dropped yet. 5 will have dropped for what, 3 months, 4 months, once EVO comes around. I think that Street Fighter 4 has so much momentum, and there's so much, it's been so popular that it's not going to die out that quickly. And to not have it on the EVO lineup, I mean, if they didn't, there would surely be side tournaments. But I think as the EVO tournament organizers, you have to have that game there.
Mm-hmm. Now, I saw a tweet from Alex Myers saying that he was talking to Tokido, and Tokido says that everybody's going to hop on Street Fighter 5 for about a year and go back to Street Fighter 4. Looking at these predictions, I'm looking at the numbers that you sent me, Steve. Street Fighter 4, if Street Fighter 5 has a 94.9% people think chance of being there or people want it there, Ultra Street Fighter 4 has a 57.63% chance of people want it to be there or expect it to be there. Is that the metric? If people expect it to be there or want it to be there, Steve?
This is what they think is going to be,
okay.
Not necessarily what they want. Certainly, I don't think 90% of people posting on our cap are going to want 2 Smashes there. But
but the idea that Ultra Street Fighter 4, that we're totally undervaluing its staying power, is that a possibility?
Well, the question, I think, for EVO isn't whether the players want it there. It's whether or not Capcom wants it there. It's kind of they want to sell Street Fighter 5, right? And if Street Fighter 4 takes spotlight away from that, that's potentially a problem for them. I think regardless it'll be there, but I think that's the mindset people have as to why Street Fighter 4 might not be there. I had not heard what Tokido said. I think that's extremely interesting, and I disagree. I mean, we had Xian come out the other day and say that, you know, you have to play Street Fighter 5 or you're not supporting Capcom. Mm-hmm. So to hear him say that's interesting to me. I personally have liked what I played at Street Fighter 5, but there's definitely been very polar opinions on it. But to be honest, 4 was the same way. Third Strike was the same way. I think 2 was not the same way. No one really liked 1. But fighting games are a little polar when they come out. People are used to 4. I think people will come around, personally.
You can't wait for Street Fighter 5. I'm sorry, what, Steve?
I was just saying, I think the other issue is resources. I mean, they're certainly going to run Street Fighter 5. Last year was 2,200 for Street Fighter 4. No reason to expect there not to be more than that for Street Fighter 5. I believe they're going to run both Smash games. That's another couple of 1,500 player bracket. Where are they going to come up with all this room, all this equipment to run another 2,000 player game and still fit everything else in? I think it comes down to, can they take the loss on that and still, you know, not piss off the Street Fighter players, but still bring in everybody from these other communities and make room for possibly more games.
Okay, but now the wild speculation comes in. Why are they announcing their EVO lineup on Red Bull Esports' Twitch page? Okay, is it because they're going to be title sponsors? Is it because they're going to fully adopt FGC and, you know, Kumite is their appetizer, but this is their real big bet? And what a way, like, to send off EVO or solidify its place than to have Red Bull take it over. Of course, this is speculation. What do you guys think the relevance or significance of having it be on that stream be?
I mean, I think at this point they're clearly going to be some sort of title sponsor, right? And I can't imagine that getting to host this big lineup announcement means that they're getting something back from it, and I'm sure they're giving something in too. I mean, this is obviously a relationship that's been built at this point. But yeah, where it could go is just speculation, honestly. Sponsor, I would say for sure. Whether or not Red Bull has their name as part of it, or it gets to that level, or Kumite gets linked with Evo in some way, that we'll have to see. I'm sure we'll hear something about it tonight.
Absolutely. That'll be, I think, an hour and a half after we're done here. You can stick around and you'll see it on Red Bull Esports' Twitch page. You've seen the cultivation with Snake Eyes. You've seen the Red Bull Kumite. If you were at Evo, you see the Red Bull people are there in full force. The managers, the people who are looking. It seems like they've been doing the research for a while. I would be willing to guess that they're going to have a huge role to play in Evo. I'd be excited to see that. I mean, that means Evo stays around longer, and people's fears of Capcom Cup. Steve, you wrote about this, right? That the Capcom Cup starts to wane on the significance of Evo. Would this turn that around?
I think there are other forces at play here. I think that would actually increase the speed of that, because what I was writing about was that Evo's significance, not necessarily that Evo would shrink in size or that it would be unimportant, but with the rise of Capcom Cup, with Killer Instinct Cup, all of these games are going into, instead of relying on Evo to provide the big stage, they'll say, screw it, we'll provide our own big stage. And even if they don't jump in right away, we've got fans jumping in doing it, like what Brandon did to start KI World Cup, what Dream Cancel is doing with Dream Cancel Cup for King of Fighters. They're figuring out that the best way to promote their game is to provide their own big stage for it and let Evo be a part of that. And now if you have a bigger sponsor like a Red Bull or, someone with a lot of power behind that Pro Tour, that gives them more power, more authority to basically play kingmaker with these events and say, hey, Evo, if you still want to be a part of the Pro Tour, you got to play by our rules. And what those rules mean, it's probably not anything different than we're expecting to see right now. But there's still that possibility down the road. So
we have Jebailey. He's going to be on later in the show, of course, as well as Keits. And in a moment, we're going to be hearing from Base, Ultra Arcade Base, one of the guys to watch for the Counter-Strike World Cup. But we have Jebailey in the chat saying, fun fact, Red Bull proper sponsored CEO 2012 through 2014. So, I guess we'd have to hear the particulars, or maybe we're not understanding. Our understanding of it is limited in that, yes, they can sponsor an event, but I don't know why I'm anticipating that this Evo announcement is going to be a little bit more, but we'll have to just wait and see. Again, speaking of Red Bull, the Red Bull Kumite, badass event. They've announced 6 players now. Punko, Justin Wong, Momochi, GamerB, Alioun, and Xian, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
I'm excited to see those matches. I was excited to see Justin Wong do well at Capcom Cup, and that didn't work out too much, right? He went 0-2. I would think that this would be an event where he could maybe shake some of that off, especially because it's a new game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always known for new games. I think they're definitely going the international route with this one, which is interesting. I think that worked really well for ESL. It brought a bunch of countries out, and then people came, I think as a result of ESL, started coming. We had Mads in at KIT. Yeah. And so involving, the international community sort of by force by allowing them to be in these events. Obviously, Alioun's an amazing player, and all the Japanese, Korean, Chinese players in this event are amazing and proven. But making sure to include them kind of, it makes the scene wider in a sense that more people are going to watch the event as a result of that. And these different countries kind of feel more included and maybe more inclined to come to America or come to Japan for events in the future.
How's it been working? You've worked closely with the Killer Instinct community and the Mortal Kombat community. We're talking about this international appeal. We're going to get to it, and I don't want to spoil it, but you were mentioning that some of these Japanese guys that qualified for the KI Cup are having a hard time getting here.
Yeah, I think it's the traveling part is the most expensive part. Since this is a completely grassroots ran event pretty much by me, unfortunately I can't afford to fly these guys out, but I think the interest is there. That's the whole reason why we throw international events. There's not too many organizations overseas that are throwing events. So, the whole reason why I threw a Japanese event over there was because I was asked to. They're like, hey, we're not really getting any events here. We can't really qualify for the World Cup. And I was like, you know what? The first thing I'm going to do has put together an international event, and I called it Combo Clash Japan. And I thought it was pretty good. I think we had like 25 people there, and we're announcing it again next year, obviously at the Cup. And I think having everybody together in one place, I mean, I think that's what utilizes the event itself. I mean, KIT, we saw Foxy Grandpa, we saw Madsen, and I thought it was great that these guys are getting sponsors from over there and getting sent over to places like Tennessee. Hopefully we'll have some more. We have people from France at the KI Cup. We have the Netherlands at the KI Cup, and possibly more. Mm-hmm. So I think international events are very important. I think that we need to start focusing on getting everybody together. So.
And especially with net play getting better, it'll be easier and easier
absolutely.
for people to play each other first and to get better in the first place. So, you know, before it might have been really hard to imagine someone in Germany or the Netherlands getting great at fighting games because there wasn't a scene there. But now, especially with KI's net play is just incredible from what I hear. It's easy.
Yeah, it's been awesome because we have the 8-bit beatdowns that my friend Evan throws, and we have international players on there that are competing. Basically runs it out of, I believe it's Philadelphia, and the netcode is so good that, you know,
so like even Europe versus America is totally fine in the 8-bit beatdown. They don't mind.
From what I understand, from what I've seen, it's been going pretty well.
That's pretty impressive.
So it's
honestly,
pretty awesome. It's
All right, guys. Well, we're going to talk about one more thing before we let go of our illustrious panel of Steve and John, and that is, John, did you catch any of that Street Fighter V Mad Cats tournament?
The Street Fighter V Mad Cats. Remind me.
Yeah, Mad Cats did I guess an invitational.
Mad Cats Cup.
The Mad Cats Cup. Yeah.
At Churning the Butter. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you catch any of that? And if so, did that get you more or less excited for Street Fighter V?
Well, one of the things that that I picked up from it was the fact that we saw a couple of players. Obviously, they brought in the big names from Street Fighter 4, the players that know what they're doing to come in and kind of represent for this, to hype it up. And out of all of those guys, the dude that won it, LPN, not a low-level player by any means, but, you know, like not always regarded as like the biggest and the best. The guy is showing a lot of promise there. And to see all of these players come around and you know they've been playing the game to an extent. I mean, they're not masters of the craft yet, but they're getting there. And to see that, like, no one character seems super dominant all of a sudden. Nobody's found something that's ridiculous or over the top. It seems like the playing field is fairly level for this game as of right now. And that was one of the things that I picked up on first, and I'm excited for it. It's because I feel like it's been a really big thing for the development team to make sure that this game is as balanced as possible right out of the gate. And it feels like, gathering with what we saw from the Mad Cats Cup, that kind of is where things are headed. So that was exciting.
This was my favorite moment. This was, I think, in casuals. This is F-Champ versus Mike Ross. He stuns him. Are you ready for it? Yoga teabag. That's what we're talking about, guys.
Yeah, that's hype.
That BM is alive and well.
That was beautiful.
How do you feel about that?
Mike Ross, too. Mike Ross is probably the best source of salt that entire week. He was just amazing. Him during the team tournament when he lost to Combo Fiend, that was just beautiful. And the replays of his face. Mwah!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's fun, dude. It's like, it's a new game. Yeah, Capcom is taking it esports. Yeah, all this shit. It's not changing at all. It's exactly the same thing, and that brings me joy. And seeing the teabagging and the fun and the camaraderie, it's not going to change because it's still the same personalities.
Yeah.
And the personalities that come after that are, informed by what came before. So I think you'd be hard pressed to break free of that esports model and all that.
Yeah.
Did you catch any of it?
Yeah, I did. And I think one thing is a lot of people watched it. They said various things about how simple the game was or stuff like that. Watching it as someone who's played the beta a fair amount, a lot of punishes were missed. A lot of stuff was dropped even. I mean, the game is nowhere near the point where people should be complaining, in my opinion, about how easy it is, because stuff was not being perfectly played whatsoever. People were getting hit by Birdie's EX jump grab from half screen in situations where there's literally no other way he could have hit you. The game has a lot of room to grow, so I hope people will give it that chance. But yeah, it was really fun to watch, and as John said, the game seems pretty balanced so far. And what I like, and especially as someone coming from anime, the Loke tests in anime games, you know, they balance them, they do whatever, and the game comes out, it's totally different. It seems like they're really, from beta to beta, listening and watching for what's happening and slowly making smaller changes as opposed to, just making giant drops every time that are totally changing the game around, which I think will end up with a more balanced game.
John, Steven, unless you have any final words, thank you very much for joining us on the panel tonight.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Now let's officially get into the Killer Instinct portion of the show, which is the rest of it. We're going to go long tonight. Let's start here. And I told you I was going to bust your balls about this. This gentleman right here to my right is hosting the Killer Instinct World Cup. My question to him was, did anybody ask for a Killer Instinct World Cup?
Well, I wouldn't say they asked directly. I think that
You're forcing him down their throats.
Yeah, I'm just like, the thing is that a lot of people were really sick of seeing players not show up to events. A lot of people. So basically we'll get into the fact that there wasn't that many people at majors. Usually at a big major we see about 16.
And we're talking about Killer Instinct, of course,
yes,
right?
Killer Instinct. And that was really, really hurting the game. I think a lot of people were like, hey, why aren't you going out to the majors? Like, a lot of people don't know that 90% of the KI players are new to the FGC. So they don't know a lot about these events.
Unpack that for me a little bit. Why did that turn out that way?
I don't know. I mean, I think that, KI is free on Xbox One.
Okay,
so I think that
go.
a lot of people are like, oh, I'm getting into this. And they would slowly show like little ads in-game and stuff like that. But yeah, they're new to the FGC. They don't, they need to be sent in a certain direction. So I figured basically with the whole reason why I started the KI Cup was basically I wanted to give players incentive to come out to majors. As a person who wanted to see Killer Instinct in a competitive aspect, this really disheartened me a lot. Like it's going to, seeing Winter Brawl, having 16 people, even big events. And when I decided to sanction these events, I mean, numbers were up, 60%. So
Wow.
I don't think really anybody asked for it, but I think that it was necessary, needed to be done. And the feedback has been great.
I asked that question to bust your balls a little bit just because, that's what I'd like to do. But what I will say is that on the occasions that I've been, ever since like Texas Showdowns years ago, when the first game first came out, to Kumite in Tennessee a week and change ago, the community is legit. The community is hyped. I'm watching the replays in preparation for the show, and they're like, this is the most like exciting Killer Instinct we've seen. It seems like the game is still evolving, is still growing. Yeah. And I had the pleasure of meeting one of your players, Ultra Arcade's base, Ken Armas, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who in fact is joining us now. He's here via Skype, and I thought, like, you're hard-pressed to find a nicer guy in the FGC.
Yeah, this guy's like the sweetest person on earth.
Ken, are you there?
He's like too nice.
Can you hear us, Ken?
Like, he shouldn't be this
I
nice.
can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, Base. How's it going, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so we're talking. I don't know if you knew, but tonight we're talking about Killer Instinct and the Killer Instinct World Cup.
And so I've heard. Little birdie told me today.
And Base is the highest ranked, via points on the ranking of Killer Instinct World Cup.
He's basically the top player in the event. He's one of the favorites to win it, of course, along with Sleep and Rico Suave. The funny thing about Base is that I remember when he wasn't even a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Wow. I was like, you know what, man? He put dedication. Now, I think his first tournament I met him at, he got 25th at Evo, which is still pretty decent. To me, it's not good. You're just, but it's a start in the right direction. And then, Base, he kept grinding. He got 5th at Combo Clash, and ever since then, he has been placing higher and higher and higher and started winning events. And watching him grow as a player has been really awesome. We became real close, and when I decided to sponsor him, it was like, hey man, if you win this tournament, you're UA, man, for sure. And he won Texas Showdown, and it got emotional, man. I was like, dude, I was so proud of this guy, because it's like watching a kid grow up and become like a vicious beast with Spinal. So yeah.
Base, how does it feel to hear Papa Bear say something like that?
I mean, honestly, I lived it. I remember all that. I remember when, I'm still fairly new to the FGC as well when it comes to a competitor. Like, I was a big fan of all these tournaments, watching it on stream and stuff, but I never had a chance to actually go out. So Killer Instinct basically gave me the opportunity. So I'm like, you know what, let me start going out now. And I kind of fell off on Ultra Street Fighter 4, but I followed through with Killer Instinct, and it's opened a lot of doors for me.
Now, do you think the online was a major part of that? Because I mean, we had Tom Brady say that MKX is currently hurt by the online. KI has great online. Is that part of what got you so good at the game?
I'm going to say, yeah, definitely. A lot of my friends, they don't play fighting games at the level I do. They like to play a lot of shooters and stuff. But as soon as I started playing Killer Instinct when it first dropped, I was just like, wow, this game is really fluid. Like, it's really, really good. It's fine. I found myself playing it for hours, and I'm just like, at least in Street Fighter, I would take a break every now and then. But for Season 1 Killer Instinct, I played all the time. And I'm just like, wow, I really can't stop.
And Base, I'm always curious when people say that, for instance, you said all your friends play shooters. We've had people come on the show that say, I also play League, or I play Dota, or, Donka plays a buttload of Hearthstone, right? Why don't you play shooters with your friends? What drew you to Killer Instinct and fighting games if this is your first, foray into the FGC?
Well, I play shooters for fun. I play with them all the time. But when it came to fighting games in general, that was something I just grew up with. I've practically every fighting game Capcom's ever made since I was a kid. I still have all my PS2 stuff, and if I want to play some Capcom versus SNK, I will. Some Capcom Fighting Evolution, things like that. I just fell in love with Street Fighter. Street Fighter was actually really, really big for me, and then Killer Instinct, I started playing in the arcades back then. I still have my Super Nintendo cartridge as well. And I just followed through. I even played Mortal Kombat back in the day. After MK4, Mortal Kombat died for me. So it was all about Street Fighter, and then Killer Instinct came about, and I'm just like, you know what? I guess I'll play it. Because I'll be honest, I wasn't as hype as everybody else was when the reboot was announced. But once I started playing it, I'm like, all right, I'll shut up now. It's fine.
I want to remind everybody that we have our phone lines open. If you have any questions for Brandon or Base, or later for Jebailey and Keits, or for anything you want to say, feel free to call in. We'll hear you live on the air, and you can ask your question. Base, you spent enough time with this man to know how much effort he's putting into the Killer Instinct World Cup. Are you excited for it?
100%, man. I've been looking forward to this for a really, really, really long time, but the closer and closer we get to it, I'm just like, wow, you know what? Honestly, I think the tournament's just the extra part. Everything else that's going to happen that weekend, I'm super excited for. So
right.
I'm just happy to be part of that.
Follow up to that question. You got top 8 at EVO. Rico Suave won. You got 3rd at KIT, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Are you hoping for that first place? And what would mean more to you? I don't mean to put you on the spot here in front of your sponsor and the guy that's running the tournament, but what means more to you, winning EVO or winning the Killer Instinct World Cup?
Honestly, I don't even know. I just think that the fact that we have a World Cup, the fact that we have that much exposure and hype behind it is what I really wanted. So win or lose, I'm just going to be really happy to even be there. So congrats to Rico on EVO. I told him right before Top 8 started. I was like, dude, if I don't win, I want you to win. I feel it. Mm-hmm. So same thing for the World Cup. World Cup, everyone there deserves it. I'm going to try my best there. If I don't win, it's totally fine.
Speaking of exposure, this is streaming on Maximilian's stream, one of the most popular fighting game streamers on Twitch. How did that happen?
Oh, well, basically, we kind of ran into some issues because we're competing with PAX, and obviously Microsoft's going to be at PAX. So we ended up having to figure out the stream situation. I was like, okay, well, the Killer Instinct Twitch page doesn't really have that many followers. So the goal of the KI World Cup is to get the game out there for everybody to see. We were trying to attract a new audience. And I suggested to Keits, I was like, hey, what do you think? And we were trying to brainstorm ideas. And I was like, what about Max? What about Maximilian? Maximilian loves KI. I remember his reaction video to the announcement of KI, and he's been supporting it ever since. And shout outs to him. And Max was like a big pioneer for the game. So Keits thought that was a great idea. I reached out to Rick, and Rick reached out to Max, and Max was like, dude, I'm down. He jumped on board immediately. It wasn't but 5 minutes that I got a response, and it was just really awesome. So
now, is he coming into town, or is he just going to throw you a host?
No, he is going to be in town. Yes.
Right on.
But obviously, you not only have Maximilian, but you also have Keits, who's now working on the game, helping you. Jebailey, James Chen's coming down to commentate it along with other people. How do you gather all of these, superstars in one room to help out with KI, a game that didn't have that much exposure before that?
Well, one, you fly them out. Well, basically, I mean, I guess a lot of these people are seeing the passion that the community is throwing into this event. Obviously, like you said, you brought up James Chen. James has been very interested in KI since the beginning, from what I understand, and he keeps talking about it on the show. He keeps bringing up the KI Cup, and he's been meeting up with Sajam Steve and learning about the game. And so, Rick and I were like, hey, man, it would probably be awesome to invite him to see if he wanted to, be a part of the Cup. And it was the same thing. I had Rick reach out to him, and he was like, yeah, just help me out, get down there, and that was pretty much it. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. So the cool thing about Keits, Keits reached out to me immediately. He was the very first person to reach out to me once I announced the KI World Cup. I was like, hey, KI World Cup, $10,000, and then Keits was always there, guiding me, to this greatness that that is the KI World Cup now. So Alex, obviously, he let me be a shadow at CEO to see what it's like to run an amazing event, and shout outs to him because he's always been there as well. And obviously Keats brought me Rick, my production manager and floor director, and I mean the production of the KI World Cup is just going to blow your minds. It's really awesome.
You mentioned briefly, and I'm not going to let you get past it.
Go ahead.
10K. The tournament started off 10K, and it was out of Ultra Arcade's pocket, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Dave and I both put together 5K
Dave
each.
and you being the owners of Ultra Arcade.
The owners of Ultra. And Dave was like, hey, he loves KIs just as much as me, if not more. And he doesn't want to see KI go. So so we put...
He's pretty emotional about it, man.
Yeah. So, the funny thing is that when I first brought up to him, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to put up $10,000. He's like, that's insane. Let me help you out. So he put in 5K. I put in 5K. And ever since then, we've been getting a lot of, I guess, love for that. It's like, hey, not many people just throw in 10K out of their pocket for a game that they really care about. So
and now it's triple.
Yeah, it's $30,000 thanks to the KI Community Fund that Microsoft put together. And shouts to the community for, making this happen. We really do appreciate it. It's really good to see that not only the community and developers come together, because that's not usually the case with some games, and I think a lot of other companies are starting to do it, even with Street Fighter. You've got Tekken, you've got MKX, so I think that this is kind of like the future of fighting games. If you put together an awesome event, I think that they're going to want to get involved.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
Well, I would love to see it grow year after year. But now let's talk a little bit more about some of the competitors that are going. And I asked Base before the show, who are you nervous to fight? I wasn't able to pull footage from all of them, but of course at the top of that list was Rico Suave. What can you tell me about Rico Suave, Base?
Honestly, since the beginning of me fighting him, he's definitely, if not the hardest opponent, one of the hardest opponents. It's so hard to land a hit on him. His reactions are almost perfect. It's crazy, and in the ability to stop a combo, and he can do that because you have the whole combo breaking system and all that. It's just intense. It's just really hard, and he's been playing around with a new character, and I played with him before. I even streamed it. And it was rough, man. It was rough on my part, but it's also really exciting. You don't really face a challenge that hard every day. So I'm looking forward to it.
Is he the one to beat for you?
I'll say yeah. I mean, everyone else that's been there. I mean, I've played a lot of people and I've beat a lot of them in tournament. And Rico is definitely that guy that's just like, damn, man. That was maybe 7-8 months ago that I beat him at East Coast Throwdown. He is a completely different player now. So am I, but still. If I'm growing, he's definitely growing.
Let's talk about your match at KIT versus Sleep. Now, I don't think this is a grand finals. This is still from top 8. But Sleep ended up winning the tournament, or was that Thompson? It was Thompson, Sleep, then you?
Yeah,
no, Sleep,
Thompson, then you.
Right.
Talk to me about Sleep, flip side Sleep. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Talk to me about this guy. He's using Aria, and you're using Spinal.
Okay, so I've played Sleep countless of times before. He's like a brother to me. I've been training with him since season 1, and when he picked Aria, I had a feeling. The Con-Ra Spinal matchup's a classic and all, but I guess he wanted to test out Aria just to see what would happen against my Spinal. And as much as I really wanted to continue the fight, I decided to experiment with Cinder because I think Cinder does pretty well against Aria, so I switched over to him. Didn't succeed in the second match, but the third match I kind of adapted. And then I was expecting Sleep to counter me with Glacius, and he did. So everything pretty much fell according to plan on both our sides.
Somebody in the chat is saying, because we're showing a replay of this match, and they're saying Black Arya on this black stage is unfair. I would not have let them pick it. Is there any consideration like that, or is that just cheese?
Oh no, that's fine, man. Like I didn't have any problem with that.
Base used to do it with Black Spinal, so
I used to play Black Spinal a lot.
You also mentioned, actually, I have a match here also from KIT, and shout outs to PandaX Gaming YouTube channel. He hooked it up with all these replays. But this is you versus Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. Talk to me about this guy. He's using Jago.
Right. So a lot of people sleep on Jago. A lot of people say that, he's a little too basic or he's a little weak. I don't think so. I think he's very good, especially with his new instinct, the fact that he can heal himself and all that. Jago's Spinal matchup back in Season 1 and now in Season 2, I still think it's pretty even because they have the right tools to pressure each other out. Thompson is actually one of the contestants from the 8-Bit Beatdown series where he basically started to shine there. I used to train with him all the time. He used to hit me up all the time to play, and we learned a lot from each other. He's learned my tendencies, I learned his. So it was a pleasure finally playing him offline for the first time.
Now, is 8-Bit Beatdown an open bracket? I actually know nothing about this tournament, but it sounds like a big deal for the online scene.
Yeah, it's a online event thrown by Evan, 8-Bit Zombie. Basically, you can sign up on his website the week prior, and everybody can sign up. It's not like capped out or anything like that.
So do most of the top players enter this? Does Base enter?
Base enters. We have Rico entering. We have a lot of the top players, and I think that's what's so great about KI is that you can throw a successful event online, unlike
the future.
Yeah, I still think that majors are still very important, but online needs to be a thing in order to obviously achieve goals. Because if you're playing on a netcode like MKX or something like that, which is that they're fixing, which is awesome, thanks to Lord Brady apparently. I think it's highly important. If you can't go online and practice and learn matchups, because you're not going to succeed. Like I work a 9 to 5, Rick works 9 to 5. It's stuff like that. We can't practice without great netcode. So.
And Ken was nice enough to take time off work. I appreciate it, by the way. I know we asked you kind of last minute, and you said, let me see if I can get off work, and you were able to pull it off.
He actually quit his job.
Just to be on the show.
That's the dream, though, right?
That's the dream. Yeah, because, he's going to be living off of, how much does first place get?
Right, 10,000. So it's all top
32
Yeah, they
out.
get it. And they also get medals, too, all 32 of them.
That's something that maybe should be brought up, too. I know Keits was one of the original proponents of paying out a wider group of people in tournaments. You're paying out the entire bracket.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that's necessary as opposed to the old 70-20-10 split?
Well, because, half these people are traveling across the world. So, I want to feel a part of something when I go to a major. When I'm going, spending money on a hotel, flight, food, whatever else fits your fancy, and then obviously the venue. And not only the event is amazing, but when you place, you want incentive to come back. And I think that having, last place gets $200. That feels real good to somebody. It's like, look, I came out to the biggest KI tournament of the year, and I placed. I feel part of something, and that's why I also got medals for all top 32. Because like I said, it took a lot to get here, and you've earned your spot. So here you go.
I heard a lot of people talking about these bracelets you guys were giving out at KIT.
Oh yeah. I think I might have some. Maybe I might be lying. I might not. I might
We're
not.
about to get bracelets,
I
guys.
don't know. I think I left them in the car. Sorry, guys. I blew it.
Base.
I blew it.
People in the chat are saying that you're downplaying Jago. That Jago is OP, and that pros like to say that he's not that good.
Oh no, I'm not downplaying him at all. I always believed that he was very good. It's the majority of, I don't want to say casuals, but a lot of the community think that Jago's weak in comparison to the top tier characters, but I think he's very, very good. Very solid damage output without meter, and the fact that he has really good buttons, and he can just heal himself. He can heal himself, and he doesn't really have a losing matchup, except for maybe one.
Fulgore.
That's about it.
Fulgore beats everybody.
Do you believe that?
That's how it goes.
I think Fulgore easily beats everybody. As much as Brandon's a Fulgore fanboy, it's the truth.
So, Base, I mean, it's no secret. I think I've made it clear during tonight's episode that I'm not like. I don't understand. I mean, he was teaching us how to play the game before the show. I think Donka picked up more than I did. But notwithstanding, who should we be looking out for at KI World Cup? Who would you be excited to see as a fan of Killer Instinct? You mentioned Rico Suave, but what should we be looking for? Is he tricky? Is he just smarter? Does he just outplay people? Is it footsies? Does this game even have footsies in it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Yes, it does. That's why Rico wins everything, because most people that play this game don't have it. They're learning footsies as they go.
You have the top 32 guys, right? And they're all really, really good in, just as players. And there's a lot of people that are still, up and coming. But when it comes to the people that have been pretty dominant from season 1 and season 2, you have Rico, who basically is like, hey, instead of me being a main, how about I main like 6 people? And it's just like, oh man, like this guy can counterpick the whole world if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. You have Paul. He's one of the best wolves since season 1. You have Grief. Grief and I basically met last year, and he's evolved into one of the best, if not the best, Sadiras. You have Thompson, who stole the show at KIT, and he's coming now, and his Jago's really, really good. You have Jago Blake, who's always been around, and his Jago's very, very solid. Everybody has their own game, and everybody has their own play style, and I'm just excited to see what's going to happen, because every match is basically grand finals material. Everything's going to be 3 out of 5.
And that's the excitement of these World Cup types or Capcom Cup types or ESL final types, is that you really do get these dream matches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Me too. I can't wait.
What are you excited to see? What match are you like, I can't wait to see? I hope these two go up against each other.
Yeah, dude, I want to see Base versus everybody, obviously. I want to see Base versus Thompson. I want to see Base versus Sleep. I want to see Base versus Rico. I mean,
are you all about that Base?
All about that Base, man. I mean, come on.
That was for you, buddy.
The best final in existence. But I mean, the thing about me is everybody always gives me crap about it. I want everybody to win. I think that you have. It's so hard. I'm like, Rico's awesome because he's playing Fulgore, and then Sleep. He's such a sweetheart. It's like you want these people to win, and that's. I mean, that's just a community in general. We everybody loves everyone, and the cool thing that I like about this game is there's no consistent winner. It's always someone else. Out of the 10% that are winning majors, out of the 100. It's always it's 1 week it's Sleep, 1 week it's Base, then Rico, and then then we had Paul B, and then so it's just it's not like other games where you see one person just dominating. To me, I think that just gets kind of boring to watch. It's like, we knew he was gonna win.
That's why everybody wants to see Scar beat Sonic Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, you're happy for the kid.
Yeah. Well, once Sonic Fox says, "Do you think anybody here can beat you?" He was like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, I stopped watching." It's like,
it's like, all right. Well, then I guess I don't have to waste my time.
Good. Thank you.
Base, you're in Jersey right now, if I'm not mistaken. When are you getting into the Lone Star State?
You'll catch me Friday afternoon.
Right on. Base, we're going to let you, we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to you here and bring on our next guest, but we want to thank you for coming on the show. We look forward to rooting for you on the stream of the KI World Cup. It'll be on the Maximilian stream, and that'll be going on this weekend.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, man. And if you want to know more about Base, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring him on was because I was listening to, from your neck of the woods, Bush Manstaff's, the Bush Fighters podcast that you were on. And you were speaking so eloquently about Killer Instinct, and I was like, we should have this guy on. So shout-outs to them and their podcast, and if you want to hear more about Base, you should go check that out. Thank you, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right. So now that he's off, you think you can take it? He was looking pretty solid.
Yeah.
And I was watching his stream, too, the other day. Yeah. Man, he was just rolling over people online, and I was like, geez, who would want to play against this guy?
It's a funny thing is because when you go to tournaments, like when I was commentating pools and stuff, it's like Base was just annihilating everybody, but so was Sleep, and so was Thompson. So was half of that top 8. So it's like, yeah, Base is really good, but when you see all the great competitors together, like you will at the Cup, it's gonna be intense. So.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, for instance, how many years ago was it that King of Fighters was the most exciting thing there? I don't know the ins and outs of that game, but I was going nuts watching
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
you're infused, right, with the
Yeah.
with the energy, regardless.
And a lot of it was the international aspect of it. Again, you had Mad KOF from Korea versus Bala originally from Mexico. So I mean,
Yeah. I think
things get crazy, and I hope that some of the Japanese can make it. If they can't, I hope the French dudes come and do well too. You know?
Yeah. The cool thing about Killer Instinct, it's one of the funnest games to watch. There's so much hype. So
before we introduce our next guests, I want to remind everybody that we have call-ins open. If you want to call in and ask your question and have it answered live on the air, you should do it. So, joining us now are none other than the community manager for Iron Galaxy and Killer Instinct, Alex Jebailey, and one of the devs. You know him from SRK, you know him from Dive Kick. Now he's working at Iron Galaxy, working on Killer Instinct. It's Keits.
yeah.
Gentlemen, welcome.
The king.
Thank you for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
So, guys, right off the bat, I mean, we're graced by the presence of two of the most, CEO, one of the best run tournaments on the planet. You have GT8 known for being one of the most immaculate tournaments on the planet, run smoothly. You're out of the game now, as we can tell. But, again, two OGTOs. How do you have any advice for Brandon putting on the Killer Instinct World Cup?
Yeah, I did. That's why as soon as he announced it, I Skyped him and was like, take my hand, my child. I will lead you to the promised land.
I reached.
No, it's extremely different from what I've done. I've run large open tournaments and tried to make those as organized as on time as possible. But what Brandon is doing is an exhibition. It's a totally different style of event. And it's much easier to run mechanically, but also much more demanding to run on the production side because the show is everything. So I just wanted to get him in touch with the right people because as a first-timer, getting that right is tough. So get him with experienced people to make sure that we hit everything we need to hit to make this incredible. And I've seen some stuff that you're going to see this weekend. It's pretty hot.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you to see if you can reveal any of this up-and-coming reveals from PAC South and from the KI World Cup. But I heard you mention exhibition. What do you define as an exhibition? Because this is a tournament that people competed in, got points in, and then it's still a bracket.
Totally, yeah. But an open tournament is where anyone can show up and enter and play, and then the exhibition is kind of a locked down bracket where you have these pre-qualified or pre-invited people who are going to be competing, and usually there's some theme, like either the creme of the crop, or they've played all year to qualify, or maybe they all wear funny hats, or they all play Jago. Whatever it is, right? It's an exhibition. It's more about the broadcast. It's not about getting people in the door to pay the door fee, because it's just not. That's just not how these things work. And for these to be successful, there's a whole different set of parameters that are really important to meet. Like you have to find sponsorship dollars because you can't rely on at-the-door dollars to make this thing sustainable. And whether or not you're looking to profiteer, if you're not sustainable, it's just, unless you're sitting on mega billions or something, it's not really reasonable to keep running these things out of pocket.
You mentioned everybody uses Jago in a tournament. Jebailey, you're working on that KI tournament?
Well, I can't enter, but I do still play Jago, yes.
but the question I'm getting at here is single game events or tournaments.
Right.
Jebailey, we know you announced the Street Fighter V tournament. I'm tempted to bust your balls. Why haven't you announced a KI only tournament, considering the community manager? But
I manage. I don't. Well, honestly, it's KI. Look at that. Look at Adam. See, I'm under pressure with Adam. No. Because why would I want to destroy Brandon's hopes and dreams of the KI Cup and do something bigger and better, I leave it up to him. No, honestly, what he's doing is amazing. It takes a really big risk to believe in a smaller community, as they say. Why I haven't done it, I'm really busy, man. I have so much going on. But with KI Cup going on and, being a part of the KI Cup, it's really helpful to just do that. And, just pretty much lead up into his event. If it does really well, then I would love to do more events, 6 months away, make it far away. That way it's another, big event by itself just for KI and stuff. Because I do have a venue for single day events, hence why doing, Street Fighter V event. Because the reason I'm doing Street Fighter V is if it wasn't for Street Fighter 4, I would not have started doing CO again or, starting it and doing local events. So I just want to give the game a shot as a day one. I still do KI at my local events. The turnout isn't as big as the other games, but everyone that comes is really passionate to play the game. And as long as you have a small community or a big community, if people come out and play, keep hosting it. So, but for now, let's let Brandon have the spotlight.
We got the PC version coming. It's gonna boom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Alex, of course. I'm just busting your balls a little bit here.
I wanna mention-
TLDR, Alex Jebailey doesn't have enough time for KI.
I remember at Frosty Fostings a couple of years ago talking to you, Keits, before you worked on the game. How did you end up doing that?
What, talking to you? It was really...
You're an easy person to talk to.
I
man. Come
approached
on.
you. I opened my mouth. Words came out.
Obviously working on Killer Instinct and moving
Sure.
from developing Dive Kick to playing Killer Instinct and liking it to turning into what it is now.
Well, I've it's no secret I'm not a big fan of the old Killer Instincts. I enjoyed playing them as a fighting gamer in the arcade, but when I got competitive, they just didn't hold up for me, and I never really sunk that kind of time or passion into them. I had KI Gold for N64 when I got an N64. Didn't play it too much, but I had it. The new KI was announced. I was just like, okay, it looks neat, but whatever. Went to E3 to promote Dive Kick that year and met the Double Helix guys. And they pulled me and Maximilian behind the Mad Catz booth, and they said, give it a try. And they walked us through the combo system, and I could not put that damn game down. It just felt so good. So much better than any other 2.5D fighter I had played up to that point. Maybe Marvel vs. Capcom 3 notwithstanding. That one feels damn good too. But inputs were super crisp and responsive. The weight of the characters was right. The speed of the game was right. The way the game even handled throws just felt right. It all felt right to me. And that was the really early version with just Jago and Saberwolf in it. And I was hooked. Every break I had, I forced my way, big time my way into the back of the Mad Catz booth and played long sets with Maximilian. And we both came away from that thing tweeting like crazy about how cool KI was. And everybody was giving us crap about it. Like, oh, no, it's not good. We saw the trailer. It's not good. You don't know what you're talking about. I just played it for 12 hours. I think it's great. So I was hooked from the beginning. As soon as the game came out, we got, I couldn't afford an Xbox One at the moment, but we got one for the office. And I was playing, an hour or two a day after work or on my breaks. And I've just been hooked. Super, super privileged to be able to work on the game. As Season 1 was winding down, I guess Double Helix was being purchased by Amazon, I believe. So they were unable to continue working on Season 2. I'm sure they would have loved to, though. They're all very passionate about the game. I loved the time I got to spend with them. And they brought us in and said, do you want to do this? And we talked to Double Helix a lot. We talked to Microsoft a lot. And it ended up kind of falling in our hands. And we're trying to make the best of it. Hopefully you like what we're doing.
I mean, do you like what you're doing? Meaning, the game has expanded a bit under your watch.
I'm obsessed with what I'm doing. Yeah, I definitely like it.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, I spend every free moment I have, watching competitive KI streams and just trying to absorb as much as possible. With the goal being to make as fun a game as we can, and underneath that layer of fun, also as balanced a game as we can. Fun first, though.
Fun first. The game does look fun. You were playing it a second ago. You having fun? Yeah, you were. You were like, holy shit, this combo's fun. Like, and I can do that.
It's cool that I think one of the big factors in the game is obviously the ease of the combo system. And then one thing that I also talked to you about in person was I think a lot of people are, and myself included at first, were upset kind of about the breaker system. And in a fighting game, you want to do your combo and you want it to be your combo. And you don't want to memorize a bunch of breaker strings to see how to break it. Exactly. I was gonna throw it to you, Adam. You explained to me why it's okay to get your combo broken and go into it.
Well, it is okay always on a certain level, but it's getting more and more okay. So first of all, let's say in Street Fighter, somebody misses a DP and you get your punish, right? You don't have any meter. You hit standing hard punch into Fireball or whatever. Standing hard punch into Tatsu. You get like 20% damage and you get a knockdown and that's it. Then you go for another mix-up. Oh, they wake up DP, they got you because you went for another mix-up. That's what a combo in KI is. You already got your upfront damage. They whiff their DP, you hit heavy punch, you do your special move, you get your 15-20% roughly depending on what you open with. Then there's a mix-up right after. And the combo breaker's kind of like a wake-up DP. There's a lot of ways to beat it that are similar to beating a wake-up DP as well. But all that aside, even if you get combo broken, it was kind of rough in Season 1, because if you got combo broken, you got hard knockdown. And if your opponent was Glacius, you then got unblockable. And that wasn't great. So in Season 2, we kind of pulled away from that really harsh momentum shift, and we made combo breakers a soft knockdown, so you can quick rise from those. But unfortunately, a few characters still get a bit more off of that. Like a Conra will get a sand trap and a sand pedal down from one combo breaker, which is a bit harsh of a momentum shift. Riptor will get a flame carpet down as well. I can't say anything about what's going to happen in Season 3, but maybe we'll take another step in that direction. I don't know.
I bet you do know. I think you're being facetious.
But yeah, like if you really look at the math, if you want to be a sciencey dude, you got your reward already when you punish something. You get your 20% up front. The rest is a mix-up, and it's a totally optional mix-up. Do you want to drop the combo right there and go for a reset? Totally cool. That's a totally viable strategy. Do you want to continue the mix-up by adding to the combo and risking getting reversal, so to speak, or getting combo broken? But if you're right, the reward you get, the damage and the knockdown, they're absurd. And momentum's crazy in KI, as I'm sure you can tell. Knockdowns lead to all kinds of really, really mean stuff. And without combo breakers, we wouldn't have a game where you can do so much mean stuff. It's not like Street Fighter 4 where openings are hard to come by, right? The offense in this game is nuts. You get hit all the time.
Well, the question that I think a lot of people have then are combo breakers a guess? And if you can react to them, do you have to memorize that? Like, how does that work?
Sure. Just like a wake-up DP, you can guess. You probably shouldn't, but you can. And there are reasons to guess. Like, guessing sends a message, even if you fail, to the opponent. It says, I'm willing to guess, and that can be strong. The combo system is kind of tuned around the idea of risk-reward, in that things that are reactable, that you can break on reaction, deal higher damage, and things that are unreactable deal much lower damage or have some lesser reward. So yeah, I could easily learn the day one basic combo of heavy auto double, light linker, heavy auto double, light linker, damage ender. Anyone can do that and do 50%, right? That's not what the game is about. That combo is ridiculously easy to break on reaction. So it's about making your opponent scared to break those things, or using other things that do less damage, that are less reactable, to score less damage in that situation.
Guys,
and avoiding patterns, because you get broken.
Keits, sorry to interrupt your explanation there, but we have our first caller of the night. It took you guys to get a caller.
I'm sure it's a troll.
I hope it's not. Christian, you're on the air. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. How you guys doing?
We're doing fine. Let's hear your question.
My question was, out of the current panel currently on the screen right now, who do you guys think is the biggest sleeper in the current KI World Cup bracket? Outside of like the top three, like Rico, Basin, Sleep.
Too late. He already said Sleep. No, okay. No. Outside of Rico, Basin, Sleep. I'm looking at you right now, Keith, so I'll let you go first.
Yeah. This is actually fairly easy for me, and it's kind of a big if he shows up. Cupcake's pretty ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have seen Cupcake play, but last time Cupcake won an 8-bit beatdown, he did the interview after, and he was just laughing hysterically into the mic, saying like, quit doing stuff on Wake Up. I have option selects, you idiots. And I like that guy's style, man. He's sciencing the game. He's playing Wolf, which is kind of a Weskery easy character, but also effective. If you're familiar with Marvel, that's a good comparison. And he knows how to abuse some of the characters that are really momentum-based but don't have the great wake-up options like TJ and Spinal. He knocks them down. He doesn't let them get back up. Cupcake's sick. So if Cupcake shows up, he's a sleeper.
Alex, you're up, buddy. Putting you on the spot. Who's the sleeper? And you can't say Sleep.
I'm a big fan of that Paul B guy. I think he has a really good shot at winning. He's in it, right?
I heard he's not coming.
Okay.
Oh.
Can
Either that or he's trolling to make people not study him. I don't know.
Hold on. I'm scrolling for the official bracket real quick to pick another name. Give me 2 seconds. Brandon tweets so much, man. I can't find it.
Hey, got to, man. I'm the only one tweeting about KI, so.
It doesn't even zoom in.
You own the hashtag?
I own the hashtag.
All right, let me throw out some names to you guys then. There's Rebello, Cupcake, Gutter, My God. My God, is he from Texas?
Yes.
And Paul B. I like My God. I liked him ever since I saw him playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I think Thompson would be my choice.
Okay. Alex, are you ready to give us your answer?
I mean, Base or Sleep are my big top picks, but Rebello, I'm a big fan of Rebello.
There you go.
Rebello's real good. I think the other sleeper on here for me, if he can get over the nerves, would be Bastry from France.
Yeah.
His Orchid tech is so precise and so upsetting. When you see some of the stuff he's doing to people, you're like, how has this been in the game for a year, and I'm just now seeing it. That character has a lot of creative potential, and he's finally starting to show it.
With the whole tournament being all 3 out of 5, it's going to come down to who can adapt the most. Because at the end of the day, when you have those long sets, it's going to be mental fortitude. So I think it's going to come down to experience, even though the game's still young. Is Rico showing up?
Yes.
Okay, then you didn't say Rico out of the first 3, did you?
That's right.
Okay, so Rico would be my other pick.
Christian, are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
What do you think?
I was about to say, I think those are all fair arguments across the board. Definitely, it's definitely going to be the top tier of the echelon of killer instinct.
For sure.
So it's going to be a good display, definitely. But still got to see that patented Jebailey heavy auto double into counter break like we saw at Combo Breaker. But
Jebailey's a powerful player. You shouldn't belittle him.
Thank you.
All right, Christian. Well, thank you very much for your call, man. We appreciate it.
You also got to keep an eye on Zerg Killer.
Yeah, Zerg.
People's champ.
The Aganos.
Now, Keits, would you win KI World Cup if you entered?
Oh, absolutely not.
He'd probably make top 8.
Yeah, I could do okay if I was playing this like a fighting game I wanted to win at, but I play it like a developer instead, which is probably pretty good. I spend most of my time playing unfinished characters that we're trying to finish, and I play the whole cast as evenly as I can to try and kind of feel all those struggles and feel what feels out of whack. So I would say I'm above average with the entire cast, but I haven't focused enough on one character to be ready to win a tournament or anything like that.
One of the reasons
I retired. I'm not really interested anymore.
Yeah, right.
Well, speaking of that, yeah, the question now is, Jebailey, obviously you're still very much so in the scene for obvious reasons. Some of the most relevant tournaments on this land are put on by you. Do you prefer? But this weekend you're going to be at PAX South.
I'll be at PAX South pretty much in the mornings. I'm still, obviously, I also do PR for Iron Galaxy. We're still putting out some indie games. We just released a game called Capsule Force late last year, which went over well. Our next big game is Video Ball that we're going to be really pushing. So I do have a lot of press stuff, but I am scheduled to go to the KI Cup every afternoon at about 4 p.m. and help wherever Brandon needs me to do. So I look forward to hanging out there at night.
It's like a 30-minute drive away from PAX South to the venue, man.
No, it isn't.
I just have to tweet out, "Hey, who wants to take Jebailey for a ride?" And done.
Yeah, it's literally less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Just
get an Uber.
I use Joe Uber. It's always ready when I get over.
God damn.
I'm so sorry, Adam.
Somebody shoot me. Yeah, that name is so
but the
perfect.
question was going to be, Alex, what do you prefer? Do you like being on the promo side? I get to be on the inside scoop here and know what's going on with the game, or do you prefer to be in the thick of it with the community?
Man, it's really awesome to be on both sides and just be seeing everything. Before, I worked at Iron Galaxy. Obviously, I got to see a little bit about Dive Kick as that was made. But after that, when I officially worked at Iron Galaxy and saw how stuff in KI was made, it just gave me a whole new appreciation for fighting games in general. Back in the 90s, I actually played more KI and Mortal Kombat than I ever did Street Fighter. So a huge KI 2 fan in the arcades. Local water park, Wet n Wild, had it there. So I played the heck out of KI. And then when I found out, when Dave Lang hired me, we're working on KI, I was very excited, happy about it. I actually already owned an Xbox One because I just like to own every console. You don't want to be left out on anything. But now, organizing the events, I still obviously do CEO and then working at Iron Galaxy. It's starting to be kind of the point where it is getting a little tough to juggle both. But I'm really enjoying my job at Iron Galaxy to the point where I'm still going to do CEO. You're just not going to be seeing me, the usual whoring out that I always do. I have to pick my moments when to do that. But, now I'm learning to be more humble, step back, and, push out the games that we're working on without always being at the forefront. I just do that with CEO because if I don't do it, who's going to, So, but now that I work with a team of people and Keits, who loves the game, Rick loves the game and he organizes events. And it's just so funny how Keits was one of the first organizers I ever really learned a lot from. And now we work together. So it all come full circle and I couldn't be happier.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
Jebailey, we actually have a question for you on the line. This is from David. When we come back from this question, I want to ask you guys, though, about the intersection of marketing and FGC when it comes to fighting games. We've been seeing a lot about that recently, and I'll pose that question here in a moment. But first, we have David on the line. David, are you there?
Hey, Efren, how you doing?
Hey, David, how's it going, man? Do you have a question for Jebailey, it says here?
I do. It's come for Jebailey, Keits, and the guest. Is that Jebailey and Keits have both executed open tournaments multiple times, and the guest has their first exhibition production this weekend. And I wanted to ask them which ones they think are more challenging to get right the first time, given what's at stake at the end of this weekend.
Good question.
Between an open tournament and a scheduled one with just one game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think an open tournament's much harder. Obviously, you need both to have just any kind of experience. I think personally, like from a production standpoint, it is just so much easier when you have just one game to run. Like with CEO, I have to deal with 9 to 10 games, and I like to do the whole ring thing and get entrances, but it's just so tough to fit that all in one weekend. If I had a budget to do one a game, one event, I would, go pretty much balls to the wall the best I can. But it comes down really to shadowing other events, traveling to other events. You cannot just become a TO overnight without experiencing what it's like as a player, I think is very helpful because I used to compete. Adam used to compete. So we always were in the tournaments, seeing how judges were working, how names were being called out, stuff like that. So from Brandon's experience, he has his own arcade where he can host events all the time. So that gives you the basics of running brackets, bringing in people. So that's natural marketing right there. So that's helped him get up to the point of doing a KI Cup where, okay, once you announce a venue, that's where it's just like, okay, now that I have the venue, everything else will just fall into place. So it pretty much comes down to that. But if I had to choose, I really enjoy doing the open tournaments and just bringing in everybody, because it's so nice when you can bring people from multiple games, and then sometimes at the end of the weekend, they start playing a different game than they started to come play. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's pretty accurate. An exhibition is certainly easier to run, but there are other considerations like, an exhibition actually might not be much less expensive to run than an open tournament in a lot of ways, and you're not going to have as many people coming to bring you money. And then there's also the fact that, we've learned the hard way that people don't really care if you run your open tournament super great. We work really, really, really hard to run in the Midwest, some of the most on-time, considerate tournaments of people's travel dollar, and make sure that there's no overlapping pools and that everything starts when it's supposed to start. But I don't know. They like it, but I don't think that that's going to stop them from going to another tournament that isn't as well run. So you kind of have a few more misses there that you can get away with, whereas the stream viewers are savage.
Yeah.
And if you mess up anything there, they will destroy you.
Who do you serve? The people that are at your event that made the trek, or the fans at home that are going to be vocal and on Twitter and putting posts on Reddit?
So for me, obviously, the answer is I serve the people at my events. I don't call them my customers. I call them my guests.
Yeah.
But the other hard thing about an open that Jebailey left out is that he's like, oh, how do I fit it all on the stream? And it's not even just how do I fit it all on the stream. It's if you decide to do multiple streams, how do you make sure that they all kind of stay on message and on brand, and one of them doesn't blow you up with some drunk guy eating spaghetti on the mic talking about it? And even worse, like maybe you only have one stream because that's all you can afford, and now you only gave 2 hours to this certain game that has 60 extremely loud, passionate fans, and now they're really upset with your event, and they're bad-mouthing you all over the place and sending you death threats. It gets volatile. So an exhibition is going to be like a billion times less stress.
Do you guys ever see like that Red Bull Kumite and go, damn, I would host an event like that. That seems like a vacation.
But the reward isn't there for an exhibition right now. Like a first-time exhibition, how do you make money on that? Where's the sustainability? Whereas with a open tournament, whatever the door fee is, $35. That's sort of $35 a head that you can plan as a budget for your event, and anything that you've under budgeted for that comes into the door. That's gravy on the top, and you can either put that into next year, which is what we always did, or you can go buy some stereos or whatever it is you're into. So it's a risk-reward thing. Do you want to risk big and reward big, or do you want to do something easy? I don't know. Pluses and minuses.
David, thank you very much for your call, guys. We have another call coming in from somebody who claims to be Paul B. Let's get him on the air here. Paul, are you there?
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys?
It's Paul.
That's Paul.
It's me, baby.
I have a work call to take, guys. I'm going to have to head out, so I'll see. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, this guy. I was like, this jerk. Come on, man. We asked you to.
Better run.
I'm glad he called, because I just finished nerfing Saberwolf Rip Turnus off.
Paul, what do you got for us, man? You're on the air.
Yeah, so actually my question is kind of related to what Keits just mentioned, right? So, Keits, I'm curious what you think about the recent community poll that voted Hisako and Riptor, which is like 70% of the characters that I play, as bottom 3, right? So A, what do you think of that? And then B, obviously, right, considering how bad those characters are and how much everyone just can like understands how bad they are, they're obviously getting buffs, right? So we can stop, trying to wonder about that.
That's
they're
not even a question. Maybe I should link you to a dictionary about the word question.
No, my question's coming. So it's a two-parter. One is, how do you feel about that, right? How do you feel about people voting those two characters bottom 3? And then how do you feel about? Oh wait, hold on. There's a second part.
Go ahead.
And then how do you feel about after the buffs? How do you feel about Paul B potentially having 2 of the best characters in the game? Go for it.
Okay, two-parter. First part, how do I feel about a forum poll where a bunch of people who, no offense, are not super high level think that those characters are weak? Well, I don't really pay much attention to it, to be honest. What matters is kind of, what I see or what the people who I trust see, who have proven over 10 years of hanging out with me that they have great insight as to what's going to be strong long term in a fighting game, what's going to be weak, right? We make a lot of mistakes when we're building new characters and stuff because we like to experiment and we want to make things fun first. But a lot of the predictions we've had internally have ended up coming true. Characters who people are absolutely sure suck, like Kan-Ra, who we nerfed five patches in a row and still ended up being top. Or Aghanos, who everyone thought was garbage, and now suddenly, because of Zerg Killer, everyone thinks is a top-tier threat. We try and see the game that way before you guys do. And me, I think Hisako's pretty good. I haven't seen anybody put it together yet, and I do agree that she is for a very particular style of player, and maybe that player isn't super common, but I think she's really scary. Riptor, I'm kind of on the fence about, but you and I have discussed before that there are certain character archetypes that are a little gimmicky, and they're frustrating to play against, and they probably shouldn't be the best characters in the game. So that's a character like Kan-Ra, who's definitely more powerful than he should be. That's a character like, if you're a Street Fighter player, El Fuerte, that should not be a strong character because it's just frustrating to fight. And we do look out for that kind of stuff. Balance is not the ultimate goal. Even characters is not the ultimate goal. You want to fun first, right? And if a character is very frustrating to fight, you want Kan-Ra to be a character that's a rare treat when you see him win, not a character that people groan at when he's on the screen. So there are missteps there from us. We're definitely aware of that stuff. And, as far as a character like Riptor is concerned, if you want to buff a character like that, then you kind of have to address some of the things that frustrate people in a negative direction before you can kind of tune up the more solid stuff. And we've considered all these things. We've been working on rebalance for a very long time. And hopefully this weekend you like what you see. And if you don't, I'm sure I'll get a tweet about it.
So what are those things that we'll be seeing this weekend?
Wait a minute. So
go ahead, Paul. I'll let you handle it.
Hisako's not getting buffed. So Hisako's confirmed.
Oh, I made this abundantly clear. Every single character is getting nerfed. Look at my eyes. Every character has nerfs.
Except I think it was pretty clear. By the way,
that's how I feel about question 1. What was question 2 again?
I was mostly just joking, right? I was just calling it to have fun with the
what was question 2? I forgot.
But the second question is, how do you feel? Now the second question is irrelevant, right? Because the second question was based on the first question, which is like, how do you feel about Paul B potentially having 2 or 3 characters that are really potentially talented. Top tier?
Yeah, I think you're really talented.
No.
I'm not sure what drives your character selection. That's different for a lot of people. A lot of people pick a character they think looks cool. I used to be that guy. I used to only pick characters I thought were cool. But then eventually I kind of got to the point where I would play characters that fit my style. And I got better at kind of self-assessing and realizing what my strengths and weaknesses were as a player, and then finding characters that suited those. And then at some point, again, I kind of fell out of that and wanted to have fun. And I was like, I'm going to pick Rocket Raccoon. I'm going to make this work. And I didn't. But I came up with some good stuff. But yeah, it depends on what type of player you are, right? If you're looking to win, if you really want to win, you have to put all that I like it nonsense aside and pick a good character, because there aren't many Justin Wongs in the world who can just make their character work no matter what. And maybe you are one. That could be true. You've definitely shown me some absolutely genius stuff in your play before. So I look forward to what you do with any character, buffed or nerfed or new. I'm looking forward to your Rash.
Paul, will you be at
Rash
the
got
KI
nerfed
Cup?
too, by the way.
I'm sorry. Can you? I'm
Paul,
sorry. I didn't hear what you said.
Paul, will you be at KI Cup?
At the moment, I don't have plans to go to the KI Cup, and it's actually really disappointing. I really would love to be there. I was actually the fourth seed qualifier, like I had the fourth amount of points, but it's just not in the books for me right now.
You gotta go.
Like something amazing happens.
We'd love to hear your
unless
feedback
something
on season
amazing
3 changes.
I'll be there with like signs. I'll be jumping up and down as soon as you mention that Conrad's getting nerfed. Yeah, let's go! But can't make it.
Yeah,
I can't make it. So.
Try and figure it out. We'd love to see you there.
All right, Paul. Well, thank you very much for the call.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate you calling in and chatting up these guys.
I love you guys. Take it easy.
Love you too, man.
Guys, I told you I wanted to talk about something, and this is the fact. So, again, this is the Killer Instinct Show episode, but we saw this Street Fighter V commercial that came out that was really FGC-centric. I don't know if you guys saw that. The idea that the FGC is becoming a part of the marketing of the game, whereas perhaps in the past that was not the case.
Yeah.
This is one of the topics of where are we headed that I would like to touch on. We're all running a little bit low on time, but your thoughts on that. I could see two sides. People saying like, oh, now you like us. Or the other side being, hey, look, we're being noticed. This is exactly how you sell this game. I'm glad you're sharing our passion. Where do you guys land on that? And I'll start with you, Jebailey.
I'm really excited with the way things are going. I've been, working with Capcom for a few years. I was actually CEO 2014, I think it was actually the first community event that Capcom Fighters streamed. So I was really happy when that happened. They talked to me about it. And I'm just like, hey, I would love to work with you guys. And, with CO as a brand, I'm not very territorial, but I just want it to grow. And the fact that Capcom's really put a lot of effort, same with like us, Iron Galaxy's hired a couple guys from the FGC. Capcom hired a bunch of guys from the FGC, and now they're leading the way. And with the start of Capcom Pro Tour a couple years ago, now you're seeing a lot of other games coming out with their own Pro Tours. So it always just takes one person to start an idea and build from there. And I think we're honestly just getting started. Red Bull Esports, Evo's streaming on the Red Bull Esports tonight. Just Red Bull Esports wants to be a part of the FGC one way or another, whether they sponsor, they do the cultivation videos, stuff like that. So marketing comes with passion, I think. Passion and showing the actual community playing the games, the hardcore people that are pretty much paying most of the bills now outside of the casuals, is the way you just keep marketing it. And is hopefully we'll get more marketable actual players. I think, K-Brad last year with a special entrance kind of changed the game a bit, and now people are going to start showing their personalities, hopefully. But I love the way it's going. I like I said, working on both sides is great because I kind of know what's going on in the future. I'm excited when I can talk about it. But, it's opening doors. KI Cup, I really hope it turns Microsoft's eyes to seeing how much fun it is. They're supporting the event in a big way, but maybe they'll come out with something. And they did on launch day, but those marketing plans are different from Capcom's, long-term marketing plans. And it's going to lead the way, and hopefully other people follow suit.
Keits, you're up. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to incorporate the FGC to the marketing of a game?
It's neither good nor bad. It's just natural. You have you can Jebailey is using words like competitive and casual, right? But I think if you're a publisher or you're a company, you're thinking more along the lines of a competitive player being a tastemaker or a trendsetter. These are not your core audience. These are not the people you need for your game to survive because there's so few of them, right? You could sell to all of them and it doesn't matter. You need to sell to what Jebailey called the casuals. But if you can't get the tastemakers and the trendsetters on board, you'll have a harder time with that. Without super strong traditional marketing, you need these people to come out and say, yeah, it's good. I like it. I'm playing it. I'm streaming it. I'm playing in tournaments for it. I'm spending my personal money to travel and play it more. And people latch onto that, and they see it, and they feel it, and they feel the passion for it, and then they buy the game. So, these things are connected no matter whether or not you like it, that they are. They're absolutely connected. So I've seen it from both sides, right? I've seen it as a player, a tournament organizer, and now a developer. And, getting these trendsetters and stuff to like your game is kind of like this weird quest that doesn't necessarily make your product better. So you have to kind of make difficult choices. Do we do what they think they want, or do we build the game we want to build and hope they like it? Those are discussions that happen behind closed doors a lot. And you have to, you can't look at the League of Legends esports marketing machine and not be in awe of it and how incredible it is that basically their marketing budget produces this massive esports thing that feeds back into itself. It's amazing, and any company should look at that and be like, oh yeah, we're missing out, we should be doing that too. So
I have some
it's only a matter of
esports.
time, right?
Yeah, I have some esports related questions with regards to how you guys roll out your characters, and now Mortal Kombat's doing it that way, and now Street Fighter V is doing it that way. But I would be remiss if I did not take this call from Mike. Mike has a call, and I've been begging for calls on this show, and we have them, so we're going to hear him. Mike, you're on the air. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Mike, you're on the air. Let's hear your question.
All right, my question is about the combo assist system implemented in the game, targeted towards newer players to pull off these amazing combos that all these top players are doing, which is great. But what ended up happening is these top players are taking the system and exploiting, taking advantage of, whatever you want to call it, abusing, and using in their playbook as a way to knock out different option selects, broken combos with double, triple linkers, and something like this going to be allowed at the World Cup, and should it be tournament legal? Will it be tournament legal? What is your guys' stand on that?
As far as that goes, since obviously Combo Assist is still very much in beta, so that's why we're basically going to wait until it's completely done and a finished product before we allow it at the event. As far as what they're planning to do about that, that's all Keits.
Yeah, I totally agree with Brandon that we still have a few kinks to work out. That double linker thing was isolated to just a couple characters. It was Jago, Shadow Jago, and Omen, and that was already fixed, so that's gone. The option selects you guys have found are pretty sweet, and we will definitely be squashing those. More on that this weekend. We'll be talking about that this weekend at the KI Cup.
Definitely.
But this is, the way you phrased it, I think, is super leading and misleading, I should say. You said combo assist allows people to do these awesome combos that top players do. I got to be straight with you, man. Auto double linker ender is not an awesome combo. It's the day one basic thing that every mid-level player can do with his eyes closed and never drop ever. And it's not interesting to me as a spectator or a player to test that skill, that ability. Like, I don't care that you can do 3/4 circle cancels in a row. That's not interesting. What's interesting to me is the decision-making that's happening there. Have you chosen to do something reactable and breakable or not? Have you chosen to counter break? Have you chosen to try a manual? Have you chosen to do a late manual and go for a counter hit there? And I posted this on NeoGAF a while ago, but I made a list of like 20 things Combo Assist doesn't help you with that are all more important to winning in a fighting game than doing a combo. And it's really hard for people to see past. For some reason, just the idea of I guess when people watch a fighting game and they're not super educated about what's really happening, they see a big combo and then they think that's what high-level play is. That guy wins because he can do that combo. And that's just not even close to true. At mid-levels of play, everyone can do every combo, and there's a huge gap, between a mid-level player and a high-level player. And most mid-level players will never be good enough to even be able to see that gap. But it's there, and it's things like spacing and manipulation and reading and reactions. The list goes on and on, like defense, shadow countering. None of this is helped by Combo Assist in the slightest. All this does is it helps you get through the game's easiest combo with a couple less quarter circles. I think it's super good for the game, and I hope everyone gets on board. We're going to squash the option selects. It's all good.
So
And I gotta say real quick, I read all the tweets that come to KI, IG, all that. It's been amazing to see just tweets going, I'm playing with my mother and she's doing combos. So stuff like that is honestly really awesome to see. I've seen people play with their kids and the kids are just loving it. So anytime you get somebody that would never touch a fighting game interested, I think it's amazing. I think it helps more than hurts the game. And like Keith
that's
said,
the barrier for learning. If you're not
I agree.
having fun, you don't want to learn. So we got to get people having fun first. And you can turn Combo Assist on against me if you want. I'll still probably beat you 100-0.
Yeah, I think the cool thing too is I'm going to add to that is I own an arcade and I have KI purely on free play at the place all the time. So I have new customers come in, and for the longest time, people still had issues with the combo system. They're like, I can't get into it. Ever since combo system has been a thing, there are more a younger audience, ages from 6 to 15, that are playing this game. Even adults, older people in their 40s and past that are getting into KI and actually having fun. Keep asking if I'm selling the game there. I'm like, no, I don't have any copies of the game, but you can go to like a GameStop or download it. But
when you talk to them, do they feel like do they acknowledge that it's like training wheels, or are they like, no, this is fun regardless?
Well, I think the overall goal is both ways. I mean, obviously, combo assist I think is great to, build bare basics for the game, and it's like training wheels. Another thing is just to get people that never played a fighting game in their life into the game, and I think that is very important on a marketing standpoint, and I think that helps grow the game. A lot of people have given me tons of feedback, and I've got tons of pictures that I do plan on showing off at the KI Cup of my console setups are all Xbox Ones right now. They're all playing KI, so it's awesome. It feels good to see more people appreciate the game because of it.
Real quick correction for me. People in the chat are upset about the 100-0 comment. What I meant to say is that if I could beat you 100-0 before turning combo assist on, we'll have the same result. I will still beat you 100-0. It doesn't mean I'm going to beat Gutter Magic 100-0 because he turned on combo assist. Just wanted to correct myself there.
Duncan, and I had a local event recently. Nobody used combo assist in the tournament, so it comes down to, I think, a lot of players in actual tournaments might just not use it at all because they're so used to already, being at that level. So they're already going to play the game. They're already going to compete. Let's get some new people in there, and I think combo assist will be that gateway and help them out.
Agreed.
You were going to say something earlier, Duncan.
My question was just, and we've directed this towards pretty much everyone who's been on the show, as a developer, Street Fighter V has a buffer window for normal attacks. That's pretty new to Street Fighter in general, and people have been complaining about how easy it is. You've now implemented combo assist into your game. How do you feel about people complaining about Street Fighter V's ease of use?
I think it's, I don't think they're comparable. Street Fighter, unfortunately, in Street Fighter V, the ease of use on the link combos, those are the game's combos. Like, that's it, right? And they're all guaranteed damage, and it's a totally different story in KI. Even being able to do the easiest combo doesn't mean you can actually finish that combo, because you might get broken if you're not smart about how you use it. And again, this is only the game's most basic combo path. There are lots and lots of things you can do, and like manuals and juggles that are all still just as hard as they used to be. And there's some legit hard stuff to execute in KI that combo assist doesn't help you with at all.
So do you think you need hard stuff to execute? Is that important towards the fun of the game?
No, I don't think it's important towards the fun of the game, but I think having a variety of things to execute does help. Not necessarily complex things to execute. But, again, you want, I think when you make a game like this, you want characters that cast a wide net. There are players who don't want to do anything difficult, and you make characters for those players, and then you also make characters that have to do difficult things to succeed, because there are players who want that as well. And if you make a game with a lot of samey characters who kind of have the same base difficulty level, you don't satisfy as many people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Sounds like you're calling out a specific game in particular, possibly.
I would never do that.
Guys, speaking of other games, I touched it earlier a second ago. The idea that...
That's what she said.
I touched it earlier a second ago. That games are following that model. You brought up League of Legends. Characters come out. People get excited. It brings new life to the game, or rejuvenates the game, or whatever you want to call it. KI did that with seasonal character releases. We're about to get another season. Mortal Kombat's doing that. It gets excitement. You remember about the game if you forgot about it. Street Fighter V has announced that. Is that the esportsification, which I haven't said in a couple episodes, of the FGC, or is that just the intelligent use of, hey, I like this idea, let's take advantage of it? And how do you guys feel about being kind of the pioneers of it with KI?
That I gotta credit Microsoft and Double Helix for starting off the game that way. But I think it's a natural evolution of what fighting games are. To be perfectly honest, Street Fighter was already doing this in an age when the technology wasn't ready for it, because Street Fighter 2 came out, and boy, it was a mess. So they released Championship Edition like a year later with 4 more characters and a bunch of balance changes, and now you can play mirror matches, right? That if that had happened today, that would have been, a character every 2 months or 2.5 months, plus little balance tweaks here and there on the way, right? It's not that different from Super Street Fighter 4 coming out a year and a half after Street Fighter 4 with 10 more characters. That's, roughly a character a month or two, right? Yeah, it's just kind of a natural evolution of what fighting games always were, was this box that just expanded with new content and new characters over the course. Not too many fighting games radically change between iterations, like, Alpha 1, Alpha 2, and Alpha 3. So yeah, it makes sense.
And it's really cool because now you have the community involved. We accept feedback all the time. All the other game makers are listening to feedback. Like, look at MKX. They're bringing in a different netcode to see how that'll do. And so I think back then it was really hard to talk to Capcom and go fix this, change that, stuff like that. Now, it's really awesome that these release schedules are happening because it shows you they're not just going to release the game and then instantly move on. They're going to stick around for a little bit. There's going to be more added to it to make it the best they can make it. And then when I think most devs are happy with how the end result is, then, they come up with the next big idea they're going to work on. So I love the way it's going now. I mean, I miss the arcade days. I love standing up. I was actually at a local Player One bar. I had an MKX event, and we have a Street Fighter 4 cabinet. And I was just playing a bunch of casuals, and they had no idea who I was. And I was like at a 20-win streak. And I'm like, it's the 90s all over again. I missed it, But it's exciting now that anybody can just jump into the game online. And it's exciting that all these different fighting games are improving their online. It's only going to get bigger from here on. So.
Yeah, I think it's fun for us from our side, too. A monthly character or whatever brings you guys back and gets you guys amped up, but it gets us amped up, too, just to see you guys reacting to new stuff every month. It's fun.
Guys, we're going to close out the show on our final call-in question. Because I've kept you past a lot longer than I said I would. It's already 15 minutes past, but Tom.
That's okay. We like you.
I appreciate that, Keits.
Howdy.
Hey, Tom, you're on the air. What's your question?
How's it going? Well, I work in the entertainment industry and TV, music, and film, largely focusing on marketing either IPs or talented people everywhere from the top to the bottom and trying to make a name for themselves. And my question is, considering that we have a panel of gaming enthusiasts and promoters and marketing professionals here, is will we ever see, whether it's in gaming or the FGC in particular, a professional on the cover of Rolling Stone or the Washington Post? And if so, what are the hurdles that the community as a whole will have to overcome for it to get to that point?
No, we won't, because print magazines are dead. Next question.
I've been in the Washington Post for being awesome, by the way. So
you know what I mean, though. Tony Hawk
I know what you
came
That's a great
skateboarding and made a name for himself and became a brand on his own.
I think if any magazine, big print, it'll be ESPN, especially with now their esports division, which I hope gets bigger, and they really they put in work with it. So that would probably be the first magazine. Maybe we'll have a swimsuit edition.
Oh God, nobody wants to see that, Jebailey.
I know, kidding. But that's an awesome question. I think we're still a ways away from that, from seeing some huge like Michael Jordan type star. Although technically in Japan you have that with Daigo. He's in mangas. He's got a bunch of stuff written out about him. He's a superstar over in Japan. It's pretty crazy. So I think we've already had that. But in terms of in America, I think we're a little bit away, but I think it's going to happen within the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that soon, but it's definitely going to happen. I definitely agree with that. I think actually one of the biggest things holding us back, unfortunately, is the term esports. I think I'm over it. I've kind of accepted it, but people hearing it for the first time from outside gaming, especially sports fans, get super offended and worked up about that term. And that's going to make those barriers even harder to break down for really stupid reasons. But yeah, it'll happen. It'll happen.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Keits, Jebailey, I know you guys are busy, so we appreciate taking the time. Brandon drove all the way from San Antonio. I promised I would feed him, so it's about that time to call it a night. I'm your host, a friend. This is Brandon Alexander.
One last question. Are you guys going to KI Cup? Because you're in the same state.
I will be there. You better believe I'll be there. I'm not sure if Donkey's going to make it down. And I'll also be at PAX bugging you guys, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
15066, so come by the Iron Galaxy.
15066. I'm going to tattoo it on myself.
Mike,
guys,
you got to come over there so we can hang out.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do.
No,
for
you're
sure.
gonna make it happen.
Maybe I can hitch a ride with
That's my boy.
Efren over here.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
the Chicago boys hanging out.
That's right.
Just take a Uber.
I don't have the.
You need the app. We need to get a
I don't have the
Uber
Joe
app.
hookup though.
All right, guys. I'm your host, a friend. This has been Brandon. That's Michael Duncan Schiller. Our guests tonight were, of course, at the beginning of the show was Ace King Offsuit and Velociraptor. We had Bass on, and you've been hearing from Alex Jebailey and Adam Hart. Of course, shout-outs to Ian, who's been screening calls all tonight, and our technical director, Will.
And the
Thank
KI World Cup. I mean,
and the
come
KI
on.
World Cup on Maximilian Stream. You better be watching because it's going to be a hype-ass tournament, and it'll be in Texas, and then you already know it's going to be a good event.
Awesome.
And as a side note, this is our last show in this studio. We're moving into our new .esports office, so next time you see us, which will be next week, we'll be in our new studio.
Congratulations.
So shout-outs to that.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching. Best of 3.